An alertness is required to truly perceive things, and immediately things become more alive and less problematic when you go into sense perception, because the problematic dimension is in the head, and you go into sense perception, suddenly you come into the present moment, and in the present moment, problems disappear. Isn't that strange? So the mind says, well, I still have them. Well, yeah, when you start thinking about them, you have them again. But when you're not thinking about them, you have no problems. Now, some of you will argue with that, but let me explain. You have situations in your life that can be challenging, and you have to deal with these situations. But the only place where you can deal with the challenging situations is in the present moment. And dealing with a challenging situation in the present moment is not a problem. You're dealing with a challenging situation. You're facing it, you're looking at it. And that looking is important. What I call looking really is putting your attention on it, which is the power of consciousness. And while you're looking, you're not thinking. Every person who has achieved mastery in any field knows what I mean by looking, because there's that absolute presence, and then that person does what he or she does. It flows from that presence. So you look, there's no problem. Problem is when you dwell mentally on something that will happen, could happen, might happen. A problem that's something I have to face next week, but not now. And you're totally absorbed in that. That's a problem. An interesting thing, I may have even written that in The Power of Now. If you think you have problems, ask yourself, what problem do I have at this moment? But this moment really means this moment. And then you have to go, well, I've got all my wife, my ex-wife is suing me. I'm about to lose my home. Person close to me is ill. I might lose my job. I have to look for a new job. Okay, what problem do you have at this moment? You're breathing, feeling the aliveness in the body, looking around. Well, at this moment, I don't actually have a problem. You have to then admit, if you really go into the present moment, the problem cannot survive in the present moment. That's an amazing realization. Doesn't mean that you no longer deal with what you need to deal with. You deal with it when the moment comes more effectively, when you don't waste your life energy in the mental realm of creating problems that you cannot be dealt with at this moment. And if you wake up in the middle of the night thinking about your problems and what you can do about them, it's extremely unlikely that you find any solution by worrying at 4 o'clock in the morning about it. But if you became still at 4 o'clock in the morning and wake up and go into the inner energy field of the body rather than thinking about your problems, in other words, leave the dimension of problems, come deeply into the present moment, then perhaps the next morning when you wake up, you suddenly say, oh, I know what I have to do now. I know how I can deal with it now. And the right course of action happens because you've gone there, but not through the problem-making faculty in the human mind. So again, coming back to your question, when you're not being challenged, practice it. And then when you are being challenged by little things that goes wrong, so to speak, in daily life, tends to happen, you might have noticed. Things don't always go according to your expectations. Sometimes you miss the bus, or something, you miss the plane, or something else goes wrong. It tends to happen actually quite a lot. It seems to be part of life. That's, by the way, it's the reason why people go to see movies. Because the substructure of every movie that you see, we could call it applies to virtually every movie you see. If you can examine any movie you see, what actually happens in the movie? In fact, I can describe every movie to you in 3 words. Something goes wrong. because there wouldn't be a movie otherwise. Nothing would happen. Nobody would evolve. Everything would be dead. But in your own life, you complain. So you see movies to see something go wrong, but when it happens in your own life, you complain. Not you personally, you've transcended it perhaps already. But so the strange thing is, things are not meant not to go wrong. Going wrong is part of the totality of how life experiences itself. If things didn't go wrong, it would be very uninteresting and nobody would evolve, because people only evolve through the challenges that they encounter. And in a good movie, the protagonist or the character changes as he or she faces that which goes wrong in the movie. In a bad movie, so to speak, the character does not go through any changes. That which goes wrong is only solved on an external level. In the end, the bad guy is killed, and that's the end of the movie, but nothing else happens. So something going wrong is part of how life experiences itself, and again, you can then bring awareness to that so that you don't always fall into reactivity when something goes wrong, but you immediately align with it.